This episode of Express Training Bites is brought to you by Promo Corner. Are you looking to support a sales campaign and reach a larger audience? Raise your brand awareness with content sponsorships. For more information, reach out to sales@promocorner.com. This is Express Training Bites. My name is Brandon Petrich. I am the digital media director for Promo Corner, and today we have Chandani. Oh, and I said it wrong. No, I did. I think I said it right.
You said it right.
Yeah,
Chandani.
Radia, and she
Radia.
is Radia. Gosh, I even wrote it out so I could say it right.
I'll do it one day.
One of these days. She is the marketing director for Spectrum Uniforms, and she's got an amazing presentation for us today about opportunity and growth in healthcare. So go ahead, Chandani, and take it away.
Mean again and say I'm actually the managing director, not the marketing director. But my marketing director, Michelle, is great. But what I do want to share with you guys today is all around healthcare. And I know that this has been, a buzzword for the past year and something that has definitely kind of like taken over for all of us. And look, we've been a vendor within the business for a long time, and healthcare has been our focus for the past 30 years. And it's kind of exciting because we feel like the ugly stepsister that's now getting attention. But I think it's so important for everyone to think about how you make this a long-term part of your portfolio. And that doesn't mean just PPE. There's such a wide healthcare market out there. And there's also so many different products. And it's not only just, selling those healthcare products, but it's a foot in the door to, cross-sell and upsell, other items too. So what I'm going to take you guys through today is a deck that we pulled together. I'm going to be presenting it on a digital platform, and we will hopefully, I think, be able to share this link with you guys as well afterwards. This is something for you guys to use and a tool just to give you some fast facts around healthcare and where the opportunities lie. So from that point, I will start. So hopefully you guys can all see. Basically, healthcare is thriving at the moment, and this was pre-pandemic as well. So before the pandemic, healthcare jobs were still growing. There's a couple of reasons for that, and we'll cover them in the deck. But at a top line perspective, we've got more people that need support. And jobs were already growing by about 2 million in the next 10 years. And that has now accelerated. So it's more people that need more products, and that's super exciting to explore. So healthcare is thriving and selling to healthcare clients and adjacent industries. So really kind of the first stat that I want to share with you guys is that healthcare is the largest employer in the US. And so that's about 20 million employees in healthcare in 2018. That means 1 in 8 people that are employed are in the healthcare industry. Now, I'm going to leave you guys in suspense and let you calculate yourself how many scrubs do you think that is annually for that 20 million population, or the 1 in 8? And I'll give you the answer later. So right now, employment in healthcare occupations is projected to continue growing. And it's actually 15% from 2019 to 2029. That's obviously so much faster than other occupations. And you can see our very beautiful chart here to show that. The only other one that we have found that's growing faster is math, I think it is. And that's something where I think that I definitely don't have a specialty, but I can imagine they need less promo products and uniforms in the math industry. So you can see healthcare here growing by 15%. What I want to highlight is some of the big, markets that the industry normally focuses on. So, protective services is 3%, education is 5%, entertainment and sports is 7%. So kind of looking at healthcare as one of those big drivers, it's really important for the diversification of your portfolio to make sure that you're even, don't move everything to one bucket, but also make sure you're spreading your risk. So What does that mean in terms of actual jobs? So this is projected to add 2.4 million healthcare jobs. That's more than any occupational group. And you can see our little note there. Full disclosure: math occupations has the most projected growth at 27%, but that's only adding 56,000 jobs. So they don't really count, right? But we took that kind of math hat and we did our own calculations. So earlier we said, how many scrubs does that mean? So we took the 20 million number, and usually in the scrub industry, you need 5 sets at least for the week. That is due to infectious disease prevention. The blend of the scrub material, depending on which kind of product you're looking at, lends itself to be washed at higher temperatures, to not lose its color, but also the consistency in uniform. You guys know this is so important, not only from an outward perspective, but also from that infectious disease control perspective. Because if you can control what everybody's wearing and the materials that they're wearing, it means that there's less likely for disease to come in and disease to go back out. So we're going to see a continual rise in that ongoing. The other thing I want to highlight here is how important intelligent fabric is becoming in the industry. Antimicrobial is something that has been within the medical industry for a while. It's something that's, generally we've incorporated for the last decade. But I would highly recommend, as you're entering into these markets and having some of those conversations, to start exploring, are they thinking about antimicrobial? There's antiviral coming out now, treatments, along with the normal anti-wrinkle and all of those things. So as you're looking at the number of sets that everybody has to have and how important that is to infectious disease control, also be thinking how you can add a level of protection for your clients in terms of the intelligent fabric element. So 100 million sets of scrubs, not a small number. And wouldn't it be nice for you to get a piece of that pie? It's a growing industry, and also right now it's 100 million scrub sets. Imagine what that could be in a few years with the new growth. So as I alluded to earlier, projected growth is mainly due to an aging population, lending to greater demand for healthcare services. So, we've got the baby boomers that are, reaching that age where there needs to be more support, but also we're seeing people living longer, due to many different factors. So the lifetime of care for somebody entering into that bracket is longer than it was in previous years. There's also been an increased number of patients with chronic conditions. And, that's around a couple different things. Science has accelerated, so we understand different conditions a lot more. And also the other element of that is, we're able to extend people's longevity of life, but sometimes that means, there's side effects. So I think that the real growth is due to aging population, longer life, and the number of challenges that our communities are facing in terms of illnesses. Obviously, again, what does that result in? That results in an already lucrative medical clothing market to gain even more momentum. So in 2020, it was 63.3 billion, and in 2027, it is forecasted to be 99.9 billion. That is a huge growth, obviously, in actual dollar value, but no other market is really growing this way. And I think about my past life sometimes. I used to work in kind of consumer goods, and working on declining categories was the most depressing thing ever. So it gets really exciting when there's growth, and then you can get that piece of the pie. And it's not only, obviously, this is just highlighting the medical clothing market, but something that Brandon and I were talking about before we got on was, there's a lot of mergers and acquisitions at the moment as well, especially within the healthcare industry because of the growth. That means rebranding, that means changes in, uniforms. That means so many opportunities in, changing print, changing other promo items and the look and feel of what they do. So I think that, this is just the medical clothing industry, but looking at the ripple effect of what that means for, the current market of mergers and acquisitions and changes, and what that means for the extended portfolio of branded items and promo items is going to be really important to watch. So I'm going to take a deeper dive in some of the factors driving the growth within the medical market, because obviously there's growth because there's more people being added into the mix, but there's also a few reasons that the medical apparel market is growing even more. And it's important for you to understand those so that you can meet the needs of your client. So the first one is research activities. Basically, the majority of research and development activities are focused around COVID, but there's an increased awareness around epidemics. And that is because of, our world that has become a lot smaller in terms of our ability to move and travel and things like that. That always means that there's more likely to be spread of things. So I hate to be, the person that's a Debbie Downer, but we're likely to see more things like this. And we already have like a swine flu or an Ebola and things like that. So there's growth in research activities as technology advances and as people become more aware of these things. There's more things to research, whether it's, cancer or the latest virus. And our research activities are becoming more important to our everyday lives. Also, just as a side note, research activities, that's always a market that is focused on lab coats and usually scrubs as well. The next one is the increase in infectious diseases. Now, there's a general rise in, I can never say this word, zoonotic diseases. So that's not just COVID. It's the swine flu, it's the bird flu, it's the coronavirus, and they adapt and change and may infect more complex systems, biological systems. So it's not just the animal kingdom, it's humans as well. And because of this rise, obviously there needs to be more research. There's also, unfortunately, more people being impacted. The next one is a growing number of surgeries. So for instance, the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons talked about 600,000 knee replacements. And those were performed in 2010 in the US, which is estimated to then reach 3 million by 2030. That's a whole lot of new knees that people are going to be getting. And that ties back to the aging population, also trends towards obesity and things like that. So we are seeing more surgeries, not only because of the accessibility to groups, but also because of other trends as well, which means more people, more scrubs needed, and more infectious disease control needed around those elements. I feel like I'm just bringing bad news, but there's an increased hospital-acquired infection rate. And again, my own personal theory is, we're a lot more aware and we're a lot more vigilant of these things now. So we're finding out and testing patients for some of these infections, but healthcare facilities have seen a rise among patients, and the hospitals themselves have an increased focus to use medical apparel and tools to reduce this. This is where intelligent fabric comes into play, and also the consistency of uniforms. Even having inconsistent uniforms, so different brands of, say, the same color, so many departments will have, say, a navy as their color. Having a variety of that can also mean challenges in infectious disease control because of the different fabric makeups and how they can be washed and how often they're washed and things of that nature. So this is going to be really important, and I believe, and based on my network and my understanding, is this is going to be a key initiative for a lot of these hospital groups and outside of just the basic hospital, the extended PCP providers and all the other, extended medical services that we see, whether it be nursing homes or, your dentist's office, infectious disease control, and how little steps can be taken to do that is going to be uber important. And it's important for, distributors in general to understand what are the needs and how to meet those. And then I kind of already covered this, but it's just the hygiene awareness of, people are seeing the importance of not only protecting themselves more, but protecting others. And as I've alluded to a few times, intelligent fabric technology is going to be so important, from antimicrobial to antiviral. These things are absolutely essential and actually will give you a leg up against competitors when you are talking about the medical clothing market, because there's not always brands that offer this because of the cost involved. And so if you are able to go to market with one of those products, along with, the customization and the logos, and you're able to provide a whole program. And then on top of that, I know, a lot of distributors we work with generally as a tool and across all markets use online platforms. You're able to provide an easy solution to, kind of tick all the boxes. I believe there's a real opportunity there to sweep up and just grab onto a lot of this need in the marketplace. So we've talked a lot about medical apparel, but I kind of wanted to touch on overall branding and why it's so important for distributors and really, you guys are brand consultants at the end of the day. And what does that mean? And what is your role within these organizations? And, I talked about earlier, the markets are moving so quickly in terms of mergers and acquisitions, and there's a lot of rebranding happening. And, I'm definitely guilty of it. I will choose sometimes to go somewhere or, to see a certain doctor because of the group that they're associated with. And so more and more often, branding is becoming, a focal point for the industry, whether it's a Kindred, whether it's a, MD Anderson, whether it's, here in Houston, we have lots of medical companies and different brand names, a Methodist versus a Bentov, a, MD Anderson versus a Memorial Hermann. There's a lot of branding that's involved, and there's a lot of investment that's going into that. And, the bigger the investment they put in, the likelihood is they get more patients, but they also get better doctors, more of them, and more specialties to, again, continue that cycle. Now, what does that mean for you guys? Well, that means obviously communication of their brand and how they do that. And the other part is the uniformity and the presentation of their brand within their facilities, but also, the branded medical equipment market is one that has grown so significantly over the last kind of decade. And I think we're going to continue seeing that, especially within the pandemic, how we saw, kind of normal medical items become actually everyday household items. And for those of you that are tuning in that are maybe associated with ASB, you will probably be so tired of me talking about a pulse oximeter, but that is like the number one item you need to have in your house if anybody has COVID, because it measures your oxygen rates. Well, pulse oximeters are something that you can brand, and actually a lot of hospitals were sending these home with patients so that, if they dipped below a certain level, they need to come back to the hospital straight away. And without even feeling those symptoms, they were seeing that their oxygen level was lowering, and then they were coming into the hospital. And to tell you how exciting pulse oximeters are, you can see our little office dog, Luther, in the corner, moving around, being like, oh, she's talking about them again. But it is really important. And, sending that home with a patient with kind of the branding element to it, it's an item that's never going to be thrown away, and that's possibly going to be passed on to many different people. Obviously, that's not just across pulse oximeters, but stethoscopes, thermometers, blood pressure kits. The market alongside the medical apparel industry, along with other promotional items such as, stress balls, pens, antimicrobial wipes, hand sanitizers, all of that is going to be key into the branding element. And again, Luther's getting excited about branded items. So kind of touching back on, how our life has changed, during the pandemic, a lot of like medical devices have become household items. And, whether it's masks, whether it's PPE kits, whether it's, IR thermometers or pulse oximeters, those have been in high demand for the everyday, end user. And it's becoming a item that is valuable to not only own and to get, but also to receive. And so how is that a tool for promotional elements? Because, at the end of the day, you want to give someone something that they'll never get rid of. And thinking about those items and how, you can lead your client to those branding opportunities, I think is going to be pivotal in, those of you that are looking for high growth across the next couple of years. So we've obviously touched a lot on, the direct medical industry, such as hospitals and research, but that's not really where the buck stops. The healthcare industry and the usage of these items is so much bigger than just, kind of your classical healthcare office or hospital. We've actually seen a huge growth in vet services. So 16% is forecasted to grow in the next decade. And I have to say, I was definitely someone who did this. I went and got a COVID puppy. And so Little Luther is our Spectrum mascot now, and it has kept us all sane during the pandemic. But I was not an anomaly. Many people went about doing this as well. And so I think that, the growth of pet owners and also, the necessity to take care of them has driven this growth even further within the pandemic. And also, the spending around pet related items, branding is just as important in that industry as it is in any other. And so promo items around this product are so important. I mean, I literally have something I picked up at an ASI show a couple years ago, which is, one of those poop bag dispensers, and it's got a flashlight on it. And honestly, it's like the best invention. Everybody asked me where I got it from. So things like that, thinking about, not just obviously how you can sell those healthcare items and uniform elements, but what does the cross-sell and upsell look like within these areas? And, most of you probably have pets. Try your, current vet or your groomers and see, what they use, what are their needs, and how you can maybe fill that gap. Outside of just, looking after our pets, there's other industries that utilize medical apparel and other items. And the first one I'm going to talk about is hospitality. So in hotels, a lot of times you will see a lot of your maid services and cleaning team wearing some sort of scrub type product or a type apron type product, or, something like one of those scrubs that looks like a kind of like button down baseball jersey. And we are forecasting, and the market is forecasting for this to rise within the hospitality industry. We saw the hospitality industry really suffer during the pandemic, and they are going to be very conscious of disease prevention and control, because if somebody gets infected during a time period, we don't know what that means, for shutdown and quarantine and things like that. And so they're going to be really mindful of people that are going in and out and in and out of rooms. How are they preventing that, and what does that look like? From a restaurant perspective and resorts, again, a similar thing. From a restaurant, it's slightly different, but it's more from that cleaning element. How are they cleaning? What are the tools, and what are they wearing, to make sure that they are, again, they come across many people regularly, and how is it that they're controlling that? The next one is salons. So salons has been a really interesting one across the pandemic, because here in Texas, we've had kind of no rules really. And when you go to the nail salon now, it's almost like you're at the bank. They've got like a plastic shield in front of you, and you kind of stick your hands through the slot. But, a lot of nail salons prior to the pandemic were wearing scrubs. And I've definitely seen, anecdotally a rise in that. And again, infectious disease control in salons. whether it's hair or nails or any other type of salon, spa, resort, things like that, has always been super important. And they have, really strict regulation, especially within hair, to abide by, from using, I can never say the word, but barbicide and things like that. So again, this element is going to be even more important for them. And we're expecting to see more regulation and guidance in how to go about that. Spas, I kind of touched on that a lot of spas already utilize scrubs with, embroidery and things of that nature. And it's going to be a continual growth again, and a lot of it's going to be consumer driven too. And I think that's, an important thing to note. It's not only going to be a top down push from corporates and offices and these private businesses, but it's also going to be a consumer element. I joke about it a lot, that there's a lot of things I used to do without a mask. And now I don't think I can ever go back. I was like, why did I ever not wear a mask in that situation? And so I think consumers are going to be more aware and going to be looking for those kind of little elements of comfort to know that the organization or the place that they're, doing business with or going to for these services is got their, health and safety in mind as well. And being able to communicate that to clients, whether, in hospitality, it's your room was cleaned by somebody wearing antimicrobial products or, and it's been cleaned with this Lysol and all of those things. It's going to be such an important element of the branding process and the comms process of how do we make sure that our clients feel like they're taken care of and that they're healthy and they're safe. And therefore, they want to do business with us more so than others. And I think that's really where, the promo industry absolutely has the expertise to kind of capture that. And then finally, schools. So healthcare programs, science programs, cafeteria. So high school POSA programs are a really untapped market. Most high schools have some sort of science element to them and a training program. And there's a lot of specialty schools that are popping up to service the growing demand for healthcare workers. So understanding your local school district and what their programs are, they need uniforms once a year. They need consistency in their uniforms because usually they're going out and representing the school. And finally, it adds that layer of, the quality of, there's not one kid that has, the $100 scrubs and one kid that has, the $10 scrubs. It allows that consistency. The other element is technical schools. Usually during economic downturns, we see more people going back to school, and we're already seeing that now. And this is going to be important because a lot of people are going into those, technical programs such as surgical tech, eye care tech, and again, all of those needing those types of support and uniforms and, small med supplies. So the adoption is really around consistency of infectious disease control, uniformity, but also giving the consumer or whoever the person is on the other side the comfort of knowing that they are taken care of and their health and well-being is being considered. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I know I'm kind of running over time, but medical focused programs in high schools are molding the future of healthcare. And I mean, you can see kind of the graph itself showing, in 2013, 165,000 members. In 2020, there's 245 members. There is a huge growth in medical. There's also this element of, I'm going to say the sexiness of the medical industry. And that's down to two factors. The first one is if you turn on the TV, every single day you will find a new drama that is related to the medical industry. And, I'm not young enough to keep up with all these anymore, but, they make it look pretty good. And so I feel like that pop culture influence is growing the association with it. The second reason is, there's a real drive to push students into STEM, especially young girls into STEM programs, so science, technology, engineering, math. And that's also contributing to the rise. And then the final piece is something that I call, kind of the halo effect of really we've seen doctors, nurses, anybody in the medical profession, EMTs, be a real like hero. And, they've been our first responders through this pandemic. We've seen the courage and the bravery and the admiration for these people. And that's inspiring to, a lot of generations and, not just the younger generations, but those that are looking to transition careers and, those that are looking to change their purpose. And so I think that, we're seeing this growth at a younger age due to those factors, but we're also seeing it at, the more adult stage of, actually, I want to change what I'm doing and I want to help people. And so that's also adding to the growth. And so the final one, so remember our scrub math from earlier? So most HOSA programs incorporate scrubs within their curriculum, and they have them wear it probably 2 or 3 times a day. It's to create that sense of belonging and also that uniformity. Ooh, Luther's growling. He's excited about the HOSA program. So basically taking the stats from 2020 and multiplying those by 2 sets, a week takes you to about 500,000 scrub sets per year. And they also need med kits. They need the basic items such as stethoscopes, blood pressure kits, and, thermometers. And those are another, key upsell and cross sell along with, their sweatshirts or their jackets or things like that you have the opportunity to, offer to these programs. So I'm going to end on that note. And I'm going to hand it back to Brandon for any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know this is such an overwhelming topic, and I know that everybody's seeing this and they're looking at, the opportunity and growth in healthcare. What does that mean? And there's a bunch of stats and there's a bunch of words and stuff that are going on. But if you sit and take the time to actually go through all of the stuff that she just went through in those slides, so go back through, that's the great part about video, go back through and read those stats and read that stuff, because there is money to be made in everything that she typed in every single one of those slides. So go out there, be informed about what you're doing, go talk to your customers. And when you show that you're informed and you're interested in their area, they're probably going to like you and buy from you as well. So Chandani, thank you so much. We actually did have a really nice comment in here and I want to read it. It's from my buddy Nadav Raviv. I love this kid. He said, Chandani is the best. She and I became super friends at the beginning of the pandemic last year. She took the time to basically walk me through everything and know everything about PPE and the different levels of medical versus non-medical. Her and her company could not have been better partners for us during that difficult, very fast-paced, very scary time. So you guys, she has the knowledge. She knows what she's talking about. Reach out to her. And Chandani, how can they get a hold of you? I know you kind of flashed your screen there at the end, but how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks. We are maybe too good of friends now. And that was very nice of him to say. But during the pandemic, I laugh about it, but we made so many friends. We've not even hugged them. We've not met them. We've not had shots together yet. I can't wait to do all of those things. But, for our team, it is so important to do that education piece, because unless you are going in knowledgeable, you will not be able to, win the deals. And also, it's for your own confidence. It's, if you have an understanding, you can confidently go and sell. And, like a pro like him, you would never think he has a problem with that. But, walking through that process, I think, is really key. So my entire team, so my sales force is all about coaching and walking you through the deals. So you can reach my team at cs@spectrumuniforms.com, and that will get routed through our help desk into one of our sales team. And, everybody within the org is happy to talk to you about, what is your program? What is the compliance element? What are the cool ideas that we could do? There's so many things that we get really pumped about, which makes us super nerdy in the industry, but hopefully we can influence you guys to get pumped too. So reach out to us at cs@spectrumuniforms.com or visit our website at spectrumuniforms.com.
Perfect. That is awesome. And being nerdy is sexy. So get
Love
out
it.
there, guys. I love it. So, Chandani, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today to inform us.
No, thank you for having me and let me know how else I can support and we'll try and get this deck circulated. I'll try and post it in the comments on the Facebook element, but please let us know, everybody, if you've got any questions. And this is for you to use and access and share with whoever you feel is fit.
That is awesome. We do record these, you guys. So if you missed any part of it, it will be reposted on Promo Corner's social media and also over at Promo Journal under the Express Training Bites tab. But that is going to do it for Express Training Bites today. We will see you next Thursday.